And usually, we see that for a game, maybe a set. Seeing him this hot for the entire week is really, really promising if you're an LG fan. So, as we get into game number 3, if you're rooting for the blue and white, you better be rooting for Kiki as well, because he's going to be a big part of what allows LG to be successful.
And I definitely think that Luminosity are certainly making statements. Even though it might just be one game out of a set, I think that Luminosity as a whole seem to really be on the same page with this new roster pickup. And I know that ShadowChair, I mean, numbers aren't everything. KDA isn't everything when it comes to a competitive environment. I know that sometimes the public has a little bit of a harder time wanting to really grasp that one, but you don't always have to be 10-0 to be effective on your team.
Exactly. He went 2-6, but he had a positive application to the game for sure. As we get into game number 3, the bans are out here. Chang'e and Baron banned out by LG. eUnited say no to NotGeno and Athena. Freya is available, but it'll be the Morrigan first pick overall here for Luminosity Gaming. 2 choices over as the ball's in eUnited's court, who again, LG opted for the secondary pick when they lost, eUnited lose, and they're opting for the secondary pick.
Seems as though these teams are a little bit more focused on trying to get a counter pick eligibility going. I think that it can be kind of difficult as the first pick unless you go in with a solid team fight strategy, but against teams like Luminosity, it's a lot more up in the air. It feels a little bit more like a coin flip when you're trying to determine where exactly their strong side is going to come out of, because we have seen multiple sets where Clout has just been destroying everybody, and then on the opposite side of that, we've also seen sets like much this week where Kiki is just the destroyer of everybody's elo and FP. But I think that as long as Luminosity stay focusing around playing from Weekend and Kiki like together, I think that it doesn't really matter how many times ShadowChair dies. They can still make a lot of good things happen.
Well, that's what they're hoping here in game number 3. Ratatoskr will be the selection here for LG. I'm not really going to say where any of these picks are going to go just yet. Freya, Serqet, and Ho-Yi for eUnited. And eUnited paying attention to Clout, going to ban out the Hachiman. ShadowChair has his Thoth banned. And LG looking more for the support play, banning out both the Hercules and the Fafnir. So eUnited now. Is it Benji's turn? Probably not. We usually see eUnited leave that last pick for the solo lane. Freya, Serqet, Ho-Yi, and Chang'e. And I'm not sold that that's going to be Benji's. It could be, but it could also definitely be Baskin there in the middle lane.
I think that PandaCat also might be one of the few pros who put so much prevalence into this Ho-Yi selection. I think that that's partially because eUnited plays very well around space control, and that seems to be what they're aiming to accomplish. You've got Freya and Serqet as the pick isolation. You have quick burst damage, so anyone who does try to venture out of the area, they've got to make sure that they're bringing a buddy with them, or else they're going to end up getting blown up before they can even get away.
We've got the Kumbhakarna, which means it probably will be that solo lane Chang'e, but I'm excited to see ShadowChair on the Scylla again. This is what he was playing earlier on in the earlier on the week, excuse me. So we'll see if it is successful this time around. Is it enough to win? Can LG take the set? So we ask you guys out there in chat. eUnited, I really like the draft. A whole lot of control. Serqet, Kumbha, and even a little bit from Chang'e. And I think that's going to be able to set up Freya very nicely.
I like the control more from eUnited this time around than what they had to offer in the last game. They managed to get the snowball leads going, but they weren't able to continuously apply that pressure throughout the match because physical protections ended up just kind of saving the day, to be honest. And now Luminosity, some concerns for this Scylla, because it's very punishable by the Serqet, I think. Freya can also punish the Scylla pretty heavily, but more importantly, not a whole lot of setup there.
Well, it's going to be all up to ShadowChair and the rest of the guys to take this one. We're going to talk to 2 of my favorite people, Finch and Ryan. Bring us the game.
Tom, you're pretty cool yourself, my man. Moving into Game 3, LG up against eUnited. This is a big set here, I feel like, for the mid laner for LG. They've got a lot of strong picks. Kiki on the Morrigan, Weekend on this Rat, and Geno on the Terry played so well, but they're going to need this Scylla to really, really contribute in a big way if they're going to be able to get this win.
And ShadowChair played very well enough in Game 1, pretty well in Game 1. Game 2, Luminosity is able to get it done, but ShadowChair struggled in that game, there's no doubt. And you're right, they're going to need more from him. Now, he has played Scylla played it earlier on in the week against Splice. Looked pretty good on the pick there, but as Taco said, there is not a lot of setup here for him. Terra's really, really great setup, but I don't know. It's a little bit risky, but it shows the faith that LG have in their new mid laner after a tough game to then give him a hard to execute God.
I think so. This is going to be a high level of execution necessary from LG to really capitalize here. And eUnited on the other side, I love what they've done here, right? They've taken this Serqet pick away from Weekend, who played it about as well as we've seen him play it in a long time on this Serqet in Game 2. Benji now has changed up completely from the Kukulkan in Game 2, now over here to this Chang'e. They've got so many options to work well, but none of it matters if PandaCat gets in trouble here early.
PandaCat uses the beads. Now Clout's going to take a good amount of damage from that root and the subsequent autos, but love what Geno's doing, just getting right in PandaCat's face. Problem is, Baskin's able to out-clear in mid, because he's Freya, one of the better clear mid laners in the game right now, up against Scylla, one of the worst clearing mid laners in the game right now. So no surprise that eUnited able to take advantage of that fact and invade this red buff.
That should slow down ShadowChair even further in that middle lane, not being able to access both the buff and the farm. And now PandaCat could come into lane with a clear advantage to make life harder for Clout and Geno in a situation where things are going to be pretty tough anyway up against the Kumbhakarna, who be so strong level 1. And not going to let them have this purple buff easily either.
Root on to Clout as PandaCat going to jump in, beads and shell expended from the dual lane. But look at where Weekend is. He could come over this left-hand side, but is going to go to Oracles instead. And that's because there's a full wave to the dual lane of LG. They would never have been able to help out on that gank because there was a full wave coming into their tower. They're both still level 1 anyways. Weekend would have had to do all the work by himself, and that would have been a little bit too much to ask, so instead secures some guaranteed farm for himself and ShadowChair. Seems a little bit odd, but I think that's the right play.
Yeah, not much opportunity there. And especially if he's only level 2, very likely would only have, I guess the stun, if anything, to give him any kind of gank potential. So at this point, Weekend on the Ratatoskr is just going to fall back, try and get a little bit more farm, and let that dual lane stick to itself, as it looks like that would have been all he had anyway, not even the dash yet.
Weekend going with a bit of a different style on this Ratatoskr than we're used to seeing from a lot of mid lane, or junglers rather, because most of the time you'll see junglers pick up Acorn 2, and you can purchase Acorn 3 when out of base. You can purchase Acorn 2 from out of base as well, however, and so it slows you down your incredibly aggressive, get the early kill, buy your Acorn, get an invade off, because now you're faster and do more damage and heal, and that all feels really good. But this lets Weekend stay on the map for longer, because he can purchase Acorn 2, which he's done now, and stay on the map and purchase Acorn 3 eventually, and still have that same power spike, it's just at a different time. And it's all based around when the fact that he doesn't want to invade. He can't invade with ShadowChair in mid, so there's no point in trying to get that power spike early because he won't be able to use it anyways.
Nothing you'd be able to make any kind of value out of. ShadowChair rightfully going right back underneath the tier 1 as red buff gets repeatedly invaded by eUnited. They're also going to be there for the spawn of the purple buff, catching up with Geno and Clout. Walls are there as a good deterrent, so they have to go around. And purple buff hadn't spawned yet. Anyway, so they're going to have to clear here first, but Weekend might have a chance here in solo, but not after all.
This Chang'e pick is an interesting one to respond to the Morrigan, because it does take away a big part of her kit, which is that stun.
Geno incredibly low. PolarBearMike will grab first blood. PandaCat even using the dive bomb there to add some extra damage, and really just not much LG could do. They've been on the back foot in this dual lane all game long.
That's a repayment for PBM doing a very similar thing in Game 2, where he dashes in and gets a little bit too aggressive.
KikiSoCheeky now in some trouble as well. Benji comes in, drops the Waxing Muno. Nice, easy kill. And they're going to need some more of that, because Kiki on this Morrigan, clearly when he gets the ball rolling, he's just a little bit too strong. So Benji doing a good job coming in and along with Screammmmm and slowing that down early.
That's really what eUnited was looking for in Game 2, right? Is setting behind Kiki early, as you just mentioned. And this time Kiki goes, last game he went for that silver breastplate. This time he rushes Pythag's piece. I can honestly say I was not ready for this one. Didn't check in on what he was going for. It is 200 health right off the bat, and that is a lot, but mobility is so important. He does get extra mobility from going into the stealth. He can transform and pick up the boost from anybody else during that time, but still feels a little bit soft, I think, to go for this Pythax piece.
It is a bit curious here for Kiki, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see more continued gank attempts. I do kind of like the idea because it'd be less efficient for him to build the prots with the magic opponent and then the physical jungler, plus Serqet's going to probably ignore your protections anyway.
Sure.
With the true damage. So maybe trying to go the route of getting health and damage all at the same time works, and this is faster than the likes of a Warlock staff or something like that. So Kiki trying to find some kind of way, I think, to get health and power and stay relevant and cool down all at once.
I can already hear the but aggro. The Pythax piece passive is so good. It hits your whole team. My man's in solo.
Right.
By himself.
Yeah.
He gets it.
That's
sure.
true.
But you're not getting any value out of that passive. So when evaluating if this is good or not, you can basically take that aura away from it. Just add those stats onto the item itself. It really is just about the quick 200 health for him. But I agree with you. I think I would have rather seen him go for something different.
Up in the air is Weaken. He does land the knock-up onto Scream, who immediately responds with an ambush and a Deathbane there in place. Weaken, though, will eventually be able to get the better of that trade as Kiki finds the kill and Scream goes down.
Benji was just spamming the cooldown button, trying to get his one off, but it was still on cooldown from that gank. Ultimate was already used as well.
Geno in some trouble in mid again. Epic uppercut should mean an easy follow-up for Baskin. Not even needed. PolarBearMike gets the dunk from the ultimate, and Geno got to watch the game in black and white for a while. That's his second death this game.
Transformation from Kiki going into the Serqet right away. Benji's
this.
immune is down, and one auto attack should get the job done, but Benji's able to kite away long enough. I really do think one auto from Kiki in that spot kills Benji because of the detonation of all three passive poison procs, but just couldn't quite get there. Everyone thinks of the bunny as the Chang'e passive, and that's certainly part of it, but also gaining movement speed every time you use an ability during the duration of the cast is nothing to shake a stick at. It's really strong.
But that's also something we've seen Kiki do in lane with this Morrigan pick, is turn into like whatever the most aggressive pick on the map is, often the junglers, and look for that 1v1. He'll drop his mage abilities first and then transform and try and get that kill, like creating his own gank almost, and get that solo kill. So I like that from Kiki, what we see from in lane. This time, though, because it's so difficult to execute, he just couldn't quite get it done.
I think that Serqet is the best aggressive option in that spot. Honestly, Medusa probably would have been pretty good because you can anti-hit with Lacerate and get that big burst of damage off of Petrify and guaranteed Viper shots. Maybe even the Freya at this point, though Freya isn't hitting quite as hard quite yet. Probably better to go with Serqet or with Medusa in that spot. I think the Serqet choice is a fine one. It's just that Benji did a good job of kiting with that passive.
What you can expect from Benji as well. Do a good job trying to keep himself in the safest position. Scream looking for Weaken with PolarBearMike right here. Not going to make it up to the tree. And another easy kill for Scream.
That one hurts for Weaken. Gets his dart caught by Scream and that last breath. Kiki at least gets a breath of fresh air, though, because he knows he doesn't have to worry about that Serqet ult, at least for a minute.
Waxing Moon comes out. Scream Deathbane's past Kiki. And that's a good job catching him inside that stealth that sets up another kill. Benji playing excellently on the Chang'e, and that's not it for now. Geno going to come back down from the epic uppercut. Baskin goes up. Another kill onto this Terra.
Much tighter play this time from eUnited.
Yeah.
A little bit more reserved and patient in their play. And I talked about why Chang'e is good against the Morrigan because the immune gets you out of the very telegraphed stealth or stun a lot of the time. That obviously is excellent, but all that thought. Panda's dead to rights. I don't think there's any way he gets out of that. Indeed, he does not. Beads down for him as well. Good gank by Weaken. But it's also the fact that everything Chang'e does is big and sweeping. You can cover such a large area, and it ended up being a big deal in that last gank on the right-hand side because I believe it was Benji who revealed Kiki from stealth with an ability, and that sets up Scream for an easy kill.
Able to just turn right around and catch Kiki without too much trouble. This time, eUnited not allowing this Morrigan to have such a free ride towards that late game. And at this point, Kiki's got to be wondering, because I think he often goes Bumbas in this third slot. You know, does he want to go that Bumbas again? If there's going to be this much aggression on him over here in the solo lane, can he afford the extra movement speed if he's that much easier to kill?
Clout might be easy to kill here. PBM going to use that epic uppercut. It's going to take a little bit for PandaCat to get here, but a good route. Clout's in some trouble.
Yeah, this was just a well-executed control coming out from PBM if this kill ends up going through, and it certainly should. Just a good job keeping Clout locked down, and PandaCat just had to come execute.
And that's so hard for Clout to know if he's actually dead in that spot. There's no aggressive wards on the top left side for Luminosity, so Clout doesn't know where PandaCat is. He knows PandaCat died and was coming back from base, but maybe PBM is trying to force a relic here. All right, I'm not going to beads. And then, well, he already ulted me. If he's here, I'm dead anyways, most likely, and I think he's right in that spot. Maybe if he beats the root, he ends up living, but probably not, because then PBM could just slow him with the knockback after the beads wears off. So if you're not going to beads the initial Mez ult, I think it's correct to just hold on to them and accept your fate.
Look at this, though. Clout still doesn't even have those Devourer Gauntlets finished, whereas PandaCat has the Ninja Tab done and has 52 stacks on that Devourer's Gauntlet. He's looking good to go. Should be able to win those trades relatively easy.
And that's where we saw in Game 2, Clout's able to take advantage of going boots first and get a big power spike off of it and invade properly and do all that good stuff. As Weekend should end up falling to this. We'll just try and do a little bit of damage on the way down. Scream gets another kill as Clout might be next on the list.
Petrify does land the stun, at least on the PandaCat, to create some space. Good spit as well, but Scream has looped around underneath. Cobra's Kiss still not enough to find the kill. Scream somehow, I feel like, has dropped this. And now ShadowChair's found a kill.
Nice shot there. Shell was maybe late, maybe didn't matter for PBM.
There we go.
Baskin's here, though, does a good chunk of damage, and now ShadowChair nearly dies. Quick Sentinel over in the back camps will save his life as Baskin able to at least get it going back in eUnited's favor. Earth and Fury is a really good ability, isn't it?
It surely is. I mean, imagine hovering over the text and the block, the wall that comes at you as you see just how much this ability does, though, right? But healing for your own team, it's damage against the other team. It's just so much, and they make great use of it here in the team.
There it is.
Jeez Louise.
It's a lot.
It's a novel.
The big thing is also, right there, it was the damage mitigation that really saved Clout's life, at least momentarily, until Baskin came in and snuffed that out pretty quickly.
United really have been playing this one, like you said. I feel like cleaner, like Rock Lee with the weights off. It feels like here in this game where United really are kind of like pulling out all the stops and not allowing room for LG to breathe. This dual lane pressure in particular could potentially be a big problem for LG. This tier 1 tower is already down. Clout's had no room to operate.
Sitting at level 10, a little bit behind PandaCat right now, but the bigger deal are those Devourer's Gauntlet stacks, as you pointed out earlier on. And PandaCat's looking to push that lead with what is probably going to be an Ichabod in that third item slot. A good bridge item, 1,700 gold, super cheap, good DPS increase. Not great in your overall 6-item build. You'll often see players sell it once you get to 6 items, but until then, it feels really good.
So what's happening is, if Scream is supposed to build it, he just doesn't want to.
More or less, yes.
Because now he has this relic dagger. My man's blinking constantly.
I actually
on a regular basis.
I will not hear BM on relic dagger. I think this item is under purchase. It's cheap, it's health, it's CDR, it's movement speed, and yeah, being able to blink more often is a really good thing for Serqet.
I'm with you. Clout, though, might not be with us any longer. Good Petrify.
Nice
actually means that PolarBearMike's in a good deal of trouble. Epic Uppercut does get weakened out of there, but he goes right into the ultimate. Is able to proc that passive, but can't stick around for the actual kill, so PBM should survive.
Now, PandaCat might be able to loop around, and indeed looking for that ricochet. Weekend going into the ricochet corridor, and that spot, good lord, tickles the tail as he gets out underneath towards the Phoenix. If you're against HooYi, you often don't want to go in between the wall and the tower. Take the other way around.
Works out
but Weekend knew that the cooldown wasn't up.
Right,
that he had,
calculated.
You know, 1.5, 1. Okay, it's up now. Plenty of time.
We can, with the 400 IQ play, manages to make sure there's no ricochet that ends up happening. But eUnited now, I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit, not worried, but I'm curious. It feels like they've been kind of spinning their wheels a bit in duo as Kiki is going to commit hard onto Benji with the Changeling ultimate. Benji just dropped the Waxing Moon, but it feels as if there's no reprieve from the pressure. D-transforms, and Geno comes in to clean up the kill.
Scream here is not going to be able to save Benji, and Weekend doesn't want to seem to let him go, though Weekend, not quite level 12, has no access to blink or anything of the sort. Weekend again going for a more tanky, supporty build with this rat than the full-out damage.
Geno in trouble in mid lane. I feel like I've said that quite a few times this game, and I might get a chance to say it here yet again. Scream blinks forward, but can't find the Cobra's Kiss. Geno does make it out of this one.
Scream expending the last of his mana in order to try and get that done. Good poke on a Baskin. Ult is there, but Aegis was better from Baskin. Valkyrie's discretion, not quite enough, and Weekend decides against trading his life for Baskins in that spot. I feel like that may have been worth it, though I actually don't know if he had the damage. Yeah, if Weekend knew that was 100% a kill, he takes that because it's a 3-level lead for Baskin, and he's 2-0-3. There's a shutdown bonus involved. Weekend's 0-2-3. A third death doesn't really hurt him that much. He's only got 1 point through the Cosmos, 200 damage plus 70%. I don't think he's getting that kill, so understands the damage he has in hand and knows he's probably just short of lethal.
It would have to be the actual through the Cosmos damage itself, because I think PBM was like right there, would have been ready for the peel, but spinning the wheels no longer. eUnited coming to Gold Fury to try and extend this lead. It's already at about the 5,000 mark, and it's going to be even worse now, near 7,000, about 9,500 out in front XP-wise, and Weekend can't even finish the red buff. That feels bad. eUnited going to strip that one away as well. Baskin
just has a 2-level lead over ShadowChair. A lot of that is how many deaths Geno has taken in the mid lane has really set Baskin up for success more so than ShadowChair being too slow on the farm. You expect that Scylla's not going to be able to keep up in the farming pace as a lot of other gods in the mid lane because it takes her a little bit longer to clear most of the time. And even if she is clearing quickly with Crush on the minion wave, she won't have Crush up to go and steal away an extra. And Harpy camp here and there. You have to wait for that cooldown, whereas Freya, 2-1, I'm going somewhere else now. So not a big surprise, but also a big XP lead for Scream in the jungle, a huge one for PandaCat in the duo lane. That's where this lead is even scarier than the gold at this point, is the XP.
But I really do like that Scream, to kind of go back to that last play, that he really looked for that play on Geno. If you have Relic Dagger, use Blink often, since it's going to be on cooldown more often now, as eUnited starting up this Pyromancer play. Kiki's the target, and he's getting bursted. Aegis has to come out very early on, but never gets any return damage. Now PandaCat on the retreat, but it feels like eUnited's already won the fight.
They did lose a lot of health, though, off of that I'm a Monster from ShadowChair, which was well positioned. So it does send eUnited packing for at least a little bit. Take a look at that player damage chart, Finch. It's of the top 5, 4 of them are eUnited members, and the 6th of the top 6 is the other eUnited member in PBM. So LG just lacking a bit of damage.
Pyromancer goes to eUnited. Weekend tried for the steal, but instead will be removed. And PandaCat's going to keep surging forward. ShadowChair has to sentinel back over the wall. eUnited have gotten 2 picks and the Pyromancer now over this last fight.
ShadowChair out of the frying pan and into the fire as he walks straight towards Scream. Epic uppercut. My knockup, my kill.
And gets back out of the crush damage as well. Kiki now in trouble in middle lane. He just got back. Ambush. Sets up that kill rather nicely. Tier 1 tower goes down. Make it 3 kills overall for eUnited.
That's twice now that Kiki's teleported into spots where he may not have been quite welcome in there. Needs a better invitation to come into that mid lane, and was easily picked off. Now his teleport is down on top of that, which is a very, very long cooldown.
And this is too bad too, because this game Kiki's Morrigan's looking a lot less impressive, and I don't think that's because Kiki so much as eUnited have made the adjustment. They sat on him so much early on in this game between Scream and Benji that he didn't have nearly as much freedom to get farmed up and relevant this game.
And like I said, Luminosity is going to run into the same trouble over and over and over again unless they become more diverse with their picks. I think that's something that is clearly becoming a bit of an issue for them, is that you become predictable in picks and bans when you have one thing that's working very well. ShadowChair has shown, 2 gods basically in Discordia and Scylla. I can't remember what the other one that he played against Splice was with, but
maybe Giannis, I feel like.
Maybe Giannis, though. I think Moswall was playing Giannis in that set. Could have been Raijin, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, could have been Raijin for sure. We definitely saw some Raijin.
If you're going to be going to this pick every time, you know you're conceding mid lane pressure. So teams can pick you around that. If we know that the Morrigan is going to be an early prioritization for you, then we know that we don't have to worry about that pressure in the early game. All of these are very late game oriented, and right now LG doesn't look like they're going to get there.
PandaCat finds the solo kill into Kiki and wants to keep that train rolling as Weekend joins the fray, but he has the Mad Guy's cloak and he is disengaging, but now PolarBearMike is here. Can't even pop it with the Mez though, but will force out the blink as Weekend repositions.
And that's the mark of a good team that has multiple different ways to win, as Geno wrapping around the back, trying to chase down PBM and PandaCat as Shell saves PandaCat from a decent amount of damage, but Petrify is right there. Good body blocks from Mike, extends PandaCat's life longer than he really had business for.
Epic uppercut off the mark, but here comes Baskin for the follow-up. Scream finds the kill underneath the tower.
Nice
ShadowChair
shots.
falls to Benji, and Last Breath goes on to Weekend as well. So he might not be very long for this world. The tick's not quite enough, but the tier 2 tower comes down either way. eUnited add 1,500 more gold to their pockets.
And it's not to take away from Luminosity. I mean, their performance in Game 2 was really, really solid, and that strategy clearly works for them if they can get you into that sort of game. But good teams, like, you know, great teams like eUnited are going to look at that and say, okay, that was pretty good. What's next? You got to show me something else on top of that. You need to have more than one way to skin a cat if you're in the SPL. And right now, LG has only demonstrated one. It's only week 1. There's still plenty of time for them to come up with other strategies, but this is where you almost stop practicing Morrigan solo. Kiki's got that. We're good. What next? What else can we work on? What sort of team compositions? We've got late game down. Can we get an early game comp going? If we can get this pick and this pick, can we switch this into early game? That's the sort of strategies that Luminosity should be trying to develop as the split goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels kind of like a pitcher, right? Like if you have your fastball, what really makes it so much better is that breaking ball where it throws off their timing, right? So if this is going to be their finisher, Kiki on this Morrigan, then you got to have something that comes in and breaks up that timing, another strat, so you can come in and finish with this one that they're not going to be prepared for. And right now, as you said, it feels like LG don't quite have that. And that's kind of been the thing every time, right? LG do have some picks they can go to, and they just feel unbeatable on it. But at a certain point, these SPL caliber teams are just adjusting.
Weekend just able to get up and into the tree. That's actually the perfect analogy, is that LG is young Aroldis Chapman. We're sure he's going out there and throwing 106 every night with decent enough accuracy, and you're like, damn, this dude can go. Like, this is really impressive. And then teams start sitting on the fastball, and it doesn't look quite as good. Sure, it's a good pitch, but if that's all you have to worry about, then there's no game to it. And then, ideally, as the fall split develops, you develop that insane 98-mile-an-hour slider that Aroldis Chapman has, and you become unhittable and one of the best teams in the league.
That's going to be the idea for LG. Can they develop that here, or will eUnited put them to bed? It's certainly looking like it, as they're sitting on top of a, 17,000 gold lead, and now with Fire Giant to make that worse. Sorry, I undersold it, Ryan. 18,000.
Yeah, that's all right.
25,000 experience. LG trying to find what farm they can with the tier 1 tower in the duo lane, but at this point it feels like eUnited can kind of take what they want at their leisure. They've done such an excellent job building this lead with dedicated points of pressure and not releasing them, right? It's been the duo lane, it's been repeated pressure over in solo as well, and ShadowChair playing the Scylla never really had it.
You've stopped me, and now I can't start. eUnited is the Justin Verlander, right? Where they've got every pitch he has is literally perfect. But sometimes he just has a night where the curveball isn't working, so he just stops throwing it. And instead, he'll just pepper you with changeups and fastballs and sliders, and it never has to go back to that sort of idea of what isn't working that day. And that's how you become Hall of Fame status or win a world championship in Smite.
And in honest to goodness, feels like that's what they were doing here, right? Because, I mean, as strong as I think Veninu is, Baskin sort of is like adding one more just straight up win condition to your team, right? So it's like, if Benji isn't working, we'll just do the Baskin thing today or the PandaCat thing today. And maybe that's what they felt like they needed to do here with this change as well. As eUnited really kind of just feel like they're the team, I think, that's the best at just playing whatever the hot hand is at that moment.
Yes, exactly. So something to keep an eye on if you're a Luminosity fan is how well Luminosity can develop alternate win conditions and alternate sort of strategies as the split goes on. Again, as I already mentioned, it's only 1 week.
That wasn't on purpose, but it's just nice.
No, it was on purpose. What do you mean? He was clearly aiming for a weekend.
Right. Actually, this could be some trouble as the whoop is going to come out from Baskin, but not going to be able to get any more punishment onto Clout. Last Breath coming out from the sounds, but Weekend goes up into the ultimate, and Clout in a little bit of trouble as well. But Weekend can't really afford to re-engage here, or can he? He's certainly considering it, but instead falls back.
No way. ShadowChair is too weak, and this is where, if you're ShadowChair, you got to just back at that point, or get back to the fountain and heal, because now he's not here for this fight.
Weekend goes back in for the reinitiation, but Scream does too much damage. Kiki has been locked down next, but a huge Petrify from Clout. Not better than the Waxing Mood that sends him running for the hills. Kiki, as soon as he lands back down, is in trouble. Baskin gets his second kill of the fight.
ShadowChair's ultimate immune by Benji, but everyone was full health anyways. Just 2 members left standing to play defense.
Yeah.
But eUnited took them 3, but Luminosity, despite their impressive performance in Game 2, end up falling just a bit short.
But this is absolutely something for LG to try and build upon, and I just hope we don't see them regress as they sometimes do, as we've seen in spring and summer. Keep this momentum going, but eUnited going to be the ones that come away with the set victory, looking as dominant as ever, adjusting on the fly to a really tough strat from LG.
It really is that Chang'e pick, I think, that changes the entire complexion of how that Morrigan laning phase goes. And it's interesting because normally when you think of low pressure, high late game variant sort of pick like the Morrigan, give me Cullen, I'll bully it out in the early game. But Kiki, that's what he expects, you know? He's used to playing against that sort of matchup. He turtles well enough and gets to the late game and makes big plays that Benji just can't match because of his God selection. So instead, we put Scream over there a little bit more. We incentivize Scream to be there more because it's actually a character that benefits from getting camped very well in Chang'e. And of course, the natural anti-synergy as Morrigan against Chang'e, as we went over during the cast. But I really think that was a smart turnaround from eUnited that set them up for success.
Yeah, it certainly didn't make matters better that they never really had much of a shot over there in dual lane either.
No.
PandaCat and PBM, 2 of the best dual laners you could ask for, I think, man. That team is just so strong. Really got off to an early start there with their aggression. They took a little bit of, I feel like, an XP loss at the beginning just to make sure they got that lane pressure.
Exactly, and that's that confidence of it doesn't matter if we're a little bit behind. We're just gonna outlane them and get to the point where it's not that big of a deal. If we can set them behind, then we're gonna control it, and that's what they did.
Who's your MVP there from Game 3, the match that made eUnited your set victors, and again, still undefeated here at this point. So far, the roster swap seems to be doing pretty well for them at the end of Week 1. But wow, does that feel like only the end of Week 1? Feels like
I know,
like years have gone by or something like that. I don't know.
No, only
Casting
Week
with
1.
Ryan does that.
Yeah, it puts some age on you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. It was fun, you know?
Yeah, that's right. You know, no regrets here, but we'll get it back over to the desk. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on that set the whole week while you're at it. Just tell us what you're thinking.
Well, I'm thinking about a couple of things. I was thinking about lunch before. Now I'm thinking about dinner.
It's Friday also.
Yeah, it's Friday. It's real Bomb King hours here. That's what I'm thinking about. But right now, I'm thinking about eUnited. The defending world champions pick up their victory here. And what a set it was. PolarBearMike, one of my favorite, I always call him the player coach, right? He just has that mentality. 3-0-12 on the Kumbhakarna. Got to give it up to him. And then Scream, 5-1-9. What else can you ask for?
This is the exact performance, though, that you would want out of the Kumbhakarna. The epic uppercuts to really help with the centering of focusing on a single target from Luminosity just really prevented Kiki and Weekend from accomplishing the same thing. You could tell that was the original mindset, I feel, was to try and look for that double Ratatoskr combination, but it just didn't end up ever really getting a chance to work out because there was just too much counter engage from eUnited.
Yeah, you know, you were talking about the lack of setup for ShadowChair over there, and that was certainly a big part, but when you're got a Serqet running through every gameplay, that's going to throw a wrench in your monkey wheel cog mess. Scream's your MVP.
Scream, for good reason. Screammmmm did everything in his power, I feel, to really just harass the backline of eUnited nonstop. He somehow always managed to find somebody in the back, and I'm not sure if that's a miscommunication error on Luminosity's behalf, or if this was just Scream doing an excellent job of abusing vision on the map to get the edge over Weekend and the rest of Luminosity. It was honestly just a really strong performance from both Mike and Scream. I think that those two were definitely the catalyst for this game.
Without a doubt. I think this was a little bit of column A and column B when you're talking about was it Scream or was it the enemy team. I think it was just everything coming together to create a perfect masterpiece for the jungle Serqet there. The Kumbhakarna was a fantastic part, but that's going to put a cap on the end of the first week of our fall split. Let's turn the page back and see how it all started. Energy, off to a bad start here, losing to rival and Team Dignitas. Meanwhile, eUnited off to a great start, beating up Space Station and Luminosity.
But it did come at a price. Luminosity still managed to take Game 2 over eUnited, so that's going to be something that I think stays in the back of not just their minds, but Luminosity's as well.
Obey Alliance, another team I want to shout out right quick. They were able to find the victory above SK, sure, no surprise. But they were also able to find the victory above Team Rival, which puts them in a nice place overall in Europe. I mean, Obey Alliance struggled all throughout the spring, all throughout the summer because of the support trade trade, Rafford didn't seem to be really working out, but now everything else is grooving, and they're number 2.
Taking a look at the standings, though, I don't think that too many people would have possibly predicted this sort of outcome. Obey Alliance up there at the top now, sitting pretty with Team Dignitas. Team Dignitas, however, with a little bit of an edge, considering that they took their victories in 2-0 fashion as opposed to the 2-1 from Obey.
SK Gaming are screenshotting this right now. They're above Energy by 2 separate spots, and they're just sitting there like, hey, look, we're not the bottom. And jokes aside, they did look a little bit better. They lost all their games, but they did look better this time around.
1 win, though. They got that match win off of Obey, and I think that was a pretty large one.
So with week 1 in the books, we'll look forward to week 2 and what's going to go on. Don't forget, Monday, we don't play the Pro League anyway, but your Esports Weekly is going to be on Tuesday alongside your big chunk of Europe. Energy will take on Obey, which historically, Obey has won despite being the bottom card there. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, NA, EU, NA.
But now that they're at the top of the standings,
Is
this finally Energy's time to shine? I mean, only time will tell. Unfortunately for us, we're going to have to sit and wait till the weekend is over to get an idea on that one.
I'm also excited to see Mouse versus SK. 1, because I think these teams are a little bit more evenly matched. And 2, this is a wide open meta, and Mouse are really about that wide openness. So I want to see them play. My eye is on Mouse Sports for the fall split.
And for what it's worth, I have always felt as though week 2 is probably the most telling and how the end of the week is, or how the end of the split is going to look. Usually by end of week 2, we have a pretty solid idea of which teams are starting to break more towards that upper threshold and which teams are going to end up falling to the ladder.
So right now, I think, like I said, my eyes are on Mouse towards the bottom, but at the end of the day, you got to look towards the top. And fantastic success coming out in North America from eUnited, and fantastic success coming out, as I said, from Obey. Kind of surprising.
Oh, Obey's they've been looking pretty good. If they can keep this ball rolling, then they might even find themselves as the number 1 seed.
It's possible. I mean, everybody's eyes is on the prize, right? HRX, that's what's going down in November 16th through the 18th. You can be there too, and it really isn't as stressful for you guys. hi-rezexpo.com. Pick up your tickets. Smite, Paladins, and a slew of other games down in the heart of Atlanta at DreamHack. I love it.
And you don't have to just show up for the event itself. You can always keep an eye out for those after-party tickets also, because those are going to be a great chance for you to also get a way to see how players and even us interact behind the scenes.
I'm a big fan of the after party. If you guys ever hung out on my stream, you know that I like to party it, but I also like to party at home. You know that?
I guess. I don't know. I don't leave my house, so I don't really know these things.
There's a gem sale. That's what I'm trying. You do the read.
How am I supposed to read your mind on this? I can't read it like the graphic for you guys back at home. That's going to be 35% off on those gem packs for a limited time. So if you wanted to ever check out some of those daily bundles that have been looking pretty appealing, or just have some skins in your mind that you want to go ahead and buy, this will be a great time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, being lifted up there's Bologna being helped out by Baron on the left, Chernobog in the middle, and then Pele over there on the right.
What's that? Production? We can end the day? Oh my God. Okay, guys, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. And from all of us here to all of you back at home, we'll see you guys next weekend. Keep in mind, Labor Day coming up, so we're not going to be able to... You really want to finish this part?
No, but if you're going to do it sweet and short. Peach it. We love you. Peace.